That's bright. I've planted myself in the sun because winter sun is very dear to me, and as we know, I work with natural lighting. So this will be fun. It's in my eyes and I can't see, but that's okay. I have books for you, some book recommendations. It's been a hot minute since we've spoken about books, and I can't contain myself for much longer because I need to talk about books or I will implode. So I have some book recommendations for you today. I have 12, and the topic is very dear to me, very in my heart, very at home. Strange books for strange girls. Girls as a gender neutral term. Let's put them in the sun. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, ooh. Yes. It's like the light is shining down on them. Allow me to define strange in my terms. Strange for me, strange reads are odd, unsettling, interesting, intriguing, unlike many other things or anything that I've ever read. Very important to me, very dear to me. I just think these are important. Also, representation for strange people in general. I love a strange protagonist because that's inherently relatable, is it not? I'm half lit, maybe I should step into the sun. I can't see. Is it too dark if I'm out of the sun? Is this fine? Okay, maybe I'll lean forward a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to start right off the bat with a strange book. And that is the most recent book that I have read out of this curation of strange literature. Things We Say in the Dark from Kirsty Logan. I read this. I finished this last week. In Edinburgh. I got it in Edinburgh in Scotland because I went to Edinburgh and it was wonderful. It's a collection of short stories based on the horrors and anxieties of womanhood. So it takes really relevant anxieties of womanhood and girlhood that we face in everyday life and turns them into creative, intriguing short stories that are surreal and fantastical, but you know, it's an allegory at the end of the day, and I really liked it. The blurb is, alone in a remote house in Iceland, a woman is unnerved by her isolation. Another can only find respite from the clinging ghost that follows her by submerging herself in an overgrown pool. Couples wrestle with a lack of connection to their children, a schoolgirl becomes obsessed with the female anatomical models in a museum, and a cheery account of a child's day out is undercut by chilling footnotes. These dark tales explore women's fears with electrifying honesty and invention, and speak to one another about female bodies, domestic claustrophobia, desire, and violence. This was really interesting, and I feel like every time I read horror-esque stories, I realize how mentally unstable I am because it gets under my skin and then I feel sick, but I like it. Very strange though, it was quite grueling, and I really appreciate the creative take on feminist literature. Strange book number 1. I should put it in the sun. Yeah, strange book number 1. Strange book number 2. I got sent this as an ARC, so I'm hoping it comes out. Oh, it comes out Feb 2023, and it's Feb 2023. This is Brutes by Dizzy Tate. This is very interesting. This is a little story, or it's not literal, a medium-sized story, I suppose, on girlhood. It's really interesting. So it has a collection of girls, a whole group of girls, but they refer to themselves as us and we, as a singular person, a singular noun, because it's about that community of girlhood, how everyone relates to one another, I suppose. And it's got some absolute bangers. It's really interesting, and then it explores different perspectives eventually of each girl and what they actually did, because there's this event of it all. In Falls Landing, Florida, a place of theme parks, swampy lakes, and scorched bougainvillea. Wow, I just learned a new word. Let's define it. I'm going to define it for you so I can define it for myself, because I can never go past a word that I don't understand and not look it up. Define. An ornamental shrubby climbing plant that is widely cultivated in the tropics. Wow, cool. Let's see how to pronounce it.
Bougainvillea.
Bougainvillea. Okay. In Falls Landing, Florida, a place of theme parks, swampy lakes, and scorched bougainvillea plants, something is wrong. Sammy, the local preacher's daughter, is missing. Nobody knows where she is, but somebody, a gang of girls, has been watching them from a distance. From the balconies and behind the wall, and in the heat that's so hot the world starts to blur. They know something, and they are about to discover more, a secret about their fame-hungry town and the cruel cost of a ticket out. What they uncover will continue to haunt them for the rest of their lives. It's beautiful, it's darkly beautiful, and it's brutally compelling, and I really enjoyed this. It's strange, it's very strange. So again, a strange book for a strange gal. Next up we have, I haven't actually spoken about this one before. I haven't spoken about any of those on this channel, so fresh hot Rex. The Dolls from Ursula Scavenius. This is very interesting, this book. It's another collection of horror-esque short stories. This one is stories from a world both fantastically strange and gruelingly familiar, where isolation, ruin, prejudice, and misinformation soar in an irresistible, susurrant fugue of displaced families yearning to belong. Characters are plagued by unexpected illnesses and oblique human-made disasters, environmental losses, and so forth. Basically, it's about propaganda. And it's really interesting, and each short story made me feel kind of sick. I read this in Wales, and I was sitting under a tree, and everything was set to be so magic. The sun was just shining in so perfectly, and the tree was shadowing my body so nicely, and everything was lovely, and bees were flying past, and butterflies, and I was just sitting there reading the most gruesome, horror-filled short stories. But it's fun, so that's that one. The next book I have is If Cats Disappeared from the World from Genki Kawamura. I've spoken about this on this channel before, and basically the plot is the devil in a human form manifests into the life of somebody who is terminally ill, offering a day of life extended for his sacrifices in terms of large scale things. So sacrifice cats, as the title suggests, and it's about what humans will do to extend their own life, and about human selfishness and about how much worth we place in our own lives above everyone else's. The tagline is, what would you sacrifice for an extra day of life? Very strange book, very much recommend. It's quite eye-opening, as Japanese literature always is. It's quite, well, what I've read thus far at least has been very deeply philosophical with a very strange front, and I like that a lot. It's very important to me. Next book we have, if you are an OG Dakotawarren watcher, you will know what I'm about to say. If you're not, please allow me to introduce you to the incredible glory that is Paradise Rot from Jenny Val. In the sun she goes. Yes, this is absolutely incredible. It's so strange. It's very strange. I read this over a year ago now, and I haven't been the same since. Jo is in a strange new country for university and having a more peculiar time than most. In a house with no walls, shared with a woman who has no boundaries, she finds her strange homecoming to life in unimaginable ways. Jo's sensitivity and all her senses become increasingly heightened and fraught as the lines between bodies and plants, dreaming and wakefulness blur and mesh. It's a hypersensual portrayal of sexual awakening and queer desire. And I love it. It's so strange in the way that it's just so viscerally detailing rot and rotting fruit and rotting bodies and queer desires and bodily fluids. A lot of pee in this one. I love it a lot. Very strange book for very strange girl. Next up we have shock horror, Sayaka Murata, Earthlings. If you've read this, you know why this is on the list. If you haven't, be warned. This is probably the strangest thing out of everything in this list. By strange, I mean just completely unhinged and unsettling. It has a deeper meaning, which I will explore in a minute, but my god, this one, I finished that and I kind of just stared at the wall for a while and thought to myself, what did I just read? What the hell was that? What is that about? Why was that necessary? I understand now that I've sat on it for a while. Mind-blowing, twisted and wildly entertaining, Earthlings asks, how far would you go just to be yourself? As a child, Natsuki believed she was an alien, a different species to her Earthling family and classmates. She hoped a spaceship would come down and take her home. Now, she lives quietly in an asexual marriage, pretending to be normal. But the buried horrors of Natsuki's past are pursuing her. As she flees the suburbs of the Nagano Mountains at a reunion with her beloved cousin Yu, she wonders, what will it take to escape the Earthlings? This is an incredible exploration on otherness and what we will do to fit in and what it's like, the liberation of just completely abandoning that in extreme forms. It's very interesting, it's very disturbing. Look up content warnings for this one. This one's intense. But this is a very strange book, very strange girls. The next book that I have will come to no surprise to anyone that I'm including this in this video, let alone every other video that I make, and that is Patrick Süskind's Perfume. This is the quintessential strange read. This is one of my best smelling books, also might I add, but this is genuinely so fascinating. It's about a perfumer who has a very keen sense of smell. It's a very obsessive and interesting character who develops an affinity for the scent of virgins. There's no synonym for that, is there? Virgins, just virgins. And so it's about him trying to capture the scent of a virgin in a perfume. It ends in chaos, absolute chaos. It's incredible. It's just crazy from start to finish, but in the best way possible. Love this a lot. The next book that I have for you is Sharp Objects from Gillian Flynn. I'm sure you're familiar with Gone Girl. This is from the same author of Gone Girl. Gone Girl, excellent, FYI. Also check that out if you don't know what it is. The Cool Girl monologue is one of the best monologues, in my humble opinion, to date. It's up there with the fantastic Mr. Fox monologue, which is up there with Hamlet's soliloquy. Anyway, this is about a family. Grossly dysfunctional family. I actually hunted down this book after I had already watched the series because there is a series spin-off of it, and I can comfortably say it's an excellent adaptation. Truly. It's so creepy and it perfectly encapsulates the energy that is embodied within this book. Gross. Gross. The whole entire time, both reading and watching, I was thinking, what is happening? Where is this leading to? I did not expect the plot twist. Maybe I'm just not aware of my surroundings, and maybe I was too distracted by the small stuff to focus on the bigger picture, but I was so genuinely shocked by the plot twist. And I feel silly now that I look back on didn't notice. Little girls start going missing, and there's investigation of disappearances. Okay. They found me. The protagonist has to return to her family home. The protagonist is very mentally unwell. It just casts her back into this headspace of being completely... The best way to describe it for me is when I return home for Christmas as an adult living on the other side of the world, and I'm in my teenage bedroom staring at the walls that I painted pink myself when I was 11, it just puts you back in that headspace of zero autonomy, zero control, zero independence, no control over your life. And I think that's perfectly summed up in the descent that the narrator goes down. It details Munchausen's by proxy syndrome, which is also fascinating. It's just such an incredibly strange story detailing so many plot twists. It's a very, very good book and very good series, in my humble opinion as well. The next book is The Deloread from Missouri Williams, and I'm not even going to lie to you, complete honest preface, I have not finished this. It's the kind of book that has a lot of world building because it's fantasy. I don't read much books that require fantasy, sci-fi-esque world building, that kind of situation. I like realism. This is not realism. And so I really struggle when I have to keep up with the world building and the hierarchy and everything that goes on and the lore. So it's taken me a really long time to get through this, and I'm not finished, but this is one of the strangest things I've ever read, even though I am halfway through, hence why I'm including this for you. In the wake of a mysterious environmental cataclysm is such a phonetically pleasing word, that has wiped out the rest of humankind, a family descended from their incest cling to the existence on the edges of a deserted city. The matriarch, ruling with fear and force, dreams of starting humanity over again, though her children are not so certain. Together, the family scavenges supplies and attempts to cultivate the poisoned earth. When the matriarch dreams of another group of survivors, she sends away her daughter, Deloread, as a marriage offering. but her reappearance triggers the breakdown of the matriarch's fragile order, and the control she wields over the sprawling family begins to weaken. Gothic and strange, moving and disquieting, the Deloread stares down humanity's unbreakable commitment to life, for better or worse. So this is a Gothic take on a Greek tragedy, and it is so bizarre. I haven't got to the part where it gets beautiful yet, because the reviews say it's beautiful. I'm still waiting for it to get beautiful, but if I read it on the train, I just close it and kind of sit there with my face screwed up. It takes a lot of comprehension, but very strange read. One of the most unique things I've read, I must say. It reminds me a lot of Tessa Moshfegh's Lapvona, but I didn't love that book. Yes, I'm going to include this. I'm going to include this in every video. This is Sheridan Le Fanu Carmilla, which is the vampire book. I want to get the pretty red, can you see? The vampire book that predated Dracula. One sentence to some: lesbian vampires in very pretty words. In an isolated castle deep in the Austrian forest, Laura leads a solitary life with only her ailing father for company, until one moonlit night a horse-drawn carriage crashes into view carrying an unexpected guest, the beautiful Carmilla. So begins a feverish friendship between Laura and her mysterious, entrancing companion. Friendship. Historians will say they were friends. But as Carmilla becomes increasingly strange and volatile, prone to eerie nocturnal wanderings, Laura finds herself tormented by nightmares and growing weaker by the day. Predating Dracula by 26 years, Carmilla is the original vampire story steeped in sexual tension and gothic romance. I love gothic romance and gothic horror and gothic fiction in general, because it is just so at the core of everything strange. This is it. Whoa, look at how pretty that is. I have 2 books left for you. Book number 1, what am I gonna go with first? I'm gonna go with vintage Bulgakov, The Master and Margarita. This is one of my favorite books in the whole world in general. I'm just gonna read you some of the blurb, and if that doesn't sound strange and endearing enough for you, I don't know what will. One hot spring, the devil makes a personal appearance in Moscow, accompanied by various demons, including a naked girl and a huge black cat. What an opening line. When he leaves, the asylums are full and the forces of law and order in disarray. Only the master, a man devoted to truth, and the Margarita, a woman he loves, can resist the devil's onslaught. This is such an incredibly interesting, intriguing book. I love this so much. I feel like with Russian lit it takes a while, for me at least, to be able to get into it, because it's just very convoluted in general, but once you get a few chapters in, it feels natural and normal, and it's just so genuinely captivating the entire time. This is a decent sized book, but I feel like you can read this in a very short time because you don't want to put it down. It also smells really good. A must read in my humble opinion. We are sealing the Holy 12 Strange recommendations with my favorite strange, not so much romance, more so delusional recount of André Breton's Nadia. I've spoken about this before, I'll speak about this a lot. I have favorites that I will consistently push to you guys because I need you to experience the glory that I have experienced. I like to share magic things, and this is magic, for me at least. Blending personal confession and enigma, reality and reverie, this hugely influential 1928 work from the father of surrealism is a meditation on, among other things, Nadia, a mysterious, unpredictable young woman with whom the narrator becomes obsessed after a chance encounter on the street, the petrifying coincidence. Nadia weaves a mysterious and compelling tapestry of daily life as seen through a uniquely magical perspective, and is one of the most unusual love stories in literature, the quintessential surrealist romance. If that didn't sell you, I don't know what will, because what a blurb and what a book. The opening line to this is incredible. Allow me to read it to you. Who am I? If this once I were to rely on a proverb, then perhaps everything would amount to knowing whom I haunt. And that sets up the entire story, because it is a haunting. It's an absolute haunting of a love story because he's so delusional. He has this idea of her. She is a ghost to him. And it's such a strange book, and I love it. Well, that's my 12 strange books for strange girls. Strange everyone. I hope that you enjoy strange literature as much as I do. Also, if you have any recommendations for this genre of strange literature, please drop them below, because I personally will take many recommendations, as I'm sure everyone else will. Don't be shy, drop the strange literature recommendations. It was also so very truly nice to sit here basking in the winter sun coming in from the crack through my curtains and talk to you about books. I haven't done that in a while, and it brings me so much joy. I'm currently in a very busy period of my life, and so content has not been contenting, but it's gonna tide over soon and we can spend more time together. I love you a lot, truly, genuinely, madly, deeply. I love you. I missed you. I will miss you until I see you again next, and have a very strange day.